This is Ron Soderstrom of Ron Soderstrom Wellness and Performance Coaching, your stress and anxiety relief specialist. Thank you very much for being here today. If you're living in the same world as the rest of us, you know that there's many challenges that we're all having to learn to overcome. One of those things standing out above all seems to be the wearing of masks. Now, I'm not here to promote or to take away from that aspect, but I'm simply here to give you the tools and the knowledge to actually be able to survive and even thrive while wearing them. Before we begin, I want to make myself perfectly clear. I am not a fan of wearing masks. I love being able to step out my door and being able to take a deep breath of fresh, clean oxygen. That's why I live in the beautiful state of Hawaii. I love being surrounded by nature and being able to enjoy all the things that it gives me. You as well. Now, here in Hawaii, they've actually upped the mandate as far as mask wearing is concerned. It turns out that even while we're exercising, even while we're outside within 6 feet of another person, we're supposed to be wearing a mask at all times. Now, I know that many people, they've actually found this to be detrimental to them. It's created a great sense of anxiety and stress. Well, today I'm here to actually explain one of the reasons why we're experiencing this and how you can easily and naturally be able to release that stress and anxiety and actually even convert it into the energy that it's meant for. You see, it turns out that the majority of us have actually learned how to breathe improperly. And it's not something that we did intentionally. It's just due to what we experienced in our lives. Our body automatically took ourselves into those directions, into those processes, in order to make sure that we lived safe, happy, and healthy lives. And here's why. It all starts out with lions, tigers, and bears. And we can actually call that something else. We can actually name it fight, flight, or freeze. Now, we've all heard about that. Basically, whenever we find ourselves in any kind of a dangerous situation, our focus sparks up, our energy, our adrenaline kicks in, and we're preparing ourselves basically to either fight or to run like heck. And in worst case scenarios, we freeze. And that's actually one of the reasons why we experience the greatest extent of anxiety that we do. But we'll be getting back to that in a little bit. You see, when I talk about learning how to breathe improperly, it turns out that the majority of us actually breathe way too much. I know that may sound a little detrimental, a little interesting compared to the things that we've heard in the past, but I'll go in and I'll explain that into greater depth so you can actually discover how you can relax, gain clarity, and actually be able to operate at a higher state in many scenarios where you previously may not have. So I'm going to be sharing with you some information now that you can easily find out for yourself if you do a little exploring out there. It's listed in many scientific and doctoral journals. Please, I beg you, go right out there, find all this information for yourself so you can make sure to clarify it and you can really take that knowledge to heart, knowing that you know all the things that you need in order to feel better any moment, anywhere in your life. I'm going to go ahead and give you a little science here. It turns out that when we breathe through our mouth and into our lungs, we actually create adrenaline. Adrenaline. It's a great thing, right? Consider the last time that you were exercising, a time when you were playing, a time that you were enjoying yourself. You can imagine yourself out there moving around, bouncing, whatever it may be. And when you needed that energy, you actually found yourself taking those deep, deep breaths in. You were filling those lungs up. You were filling that energy, revitalizing yourself, giving you everything that you needed to continue enjoying yourself. It's a wonderful thing. Basically, whenever we need energy, we just take those deep breaths in, fuel ourselves, and then go out to enjoy ourselves some more. Well, it turns out that that very same process happens whenever we experience danger. Anytime that we find ourselves in the fight, flight, or freeze mode, our bodies basically do the exact same thing. We find ourselves taking deep breaths, usually high up in the chest, even up in the neck. You know, when you're feeling those times of apprehension and you feel that tightness, we breathe high up into the chest because we're creating that adrenaline, that energy, in order to be able to fight, be able to run like heck, or once again, in those worst case scenarios, play dead and freeze. So what happens is actually a very, very good thing. It's something that, once again, it's ensured our safety. It's ensured our happiness, our health, our well-being. Just think about one of the times in the past when you found that having that surge of energy may have even saved yours or someone else's life. Well, having that information, knowing now, once again, that when you breathe into your chest, that you create that adrenaline, you can actually feel very excited about that. But we're going to come up to that last portion of the fight, flight, or freeze, which is freeze. What happens when we freeze? Right? Now, when we're in that state, think about this. Consider this just for a moment for yourself. After you've gotten all of that adrenaline that's been created inside of your body, preparing yourself to take action, to be able to do whatever you need to do to be able to save yourself, if all of a sudden you find yourself in that frozen state with all that energy bubbling up inside of you, how well do you think that you're going to actually be able to maintain a sense of calmness and focus, a sense of clarity, an ability to actually think things through clearly and concisely? Well, the majority of people find that when they're feeling those senses of anxiety or stress, that they actually have difficulty thinking, that they actually find themselves being overwhelmed. There's even times when people become so overwrought with all that anxiety, so overfilled with it, that they pass out. Basically, the mind, the body, it senses that the person is in too high of a state, that adrenaline has been dumped in too large of quantities, that it basically shuts the mind and the body down to allow that person to safely rest and rejuvenate. That's not a very good way to be able to handle things, is it? Especially, once again, when you consider yourself having to prepare for something important, a hurricane by chance. What happens when you're having to prepare yourself, your family, your loved ones, your homes, wherever you may be, to ensure that you are properly prepared for an oncoming disaster? How well do you think that you can actually think about things and prepare accordingly? Well, not very well if you really put much thought into it. The fact is that in those times when you're actually under the most stress, the most duress, you want to be able to think as clearly as possible. And here is exactly how you do it. It turns out that when you breathe through your nose, deep down into your belly breathing, I'm sure that many of you heard about that, we actually create a different chemical, a chemical called nitric oxide. And what nitric oxide is actually a vascular dilator. It enlarges our veins, allowing more oxygen, blood, nutrients to be able to flow through our entire body into our mind, allowing you to actually be able to operate easier, more fluidly, while giving you more clarity of mind. Think about this for a moment. Once again, when you find yourself in that stress out situation, you find that your body actually becomes very tight, very compressed. You're covering your vitals. Now, during that stage, even looking at me now, you can see that my chest has become very compressed. How well can you actually take a deep breath in when your lungs are restricted? Now, when you breathe through your nose deep down into your stomach, you're actually creating a response in your body, the automatic relaxation response. It automatically relaxes your body. Let's take it in the instance of a drunk driver. We've heard this time and time again, where a drunk driver has gotten into a serious accident and even crashed into another person, where the other person may have died. That drunk driver, somehow, they're able to come out of it, sometimes even unscathed. And that reason being, their body was so relaxed, they didn't tighten up, they rolled with the punches, and rather than having that impact, they simply moved around or whatever needed to occur for them to be able to survive. That same thing is possible for you when you're making sure to breathe in the proper way to allow yourself to relax rather than find yourself being tight and in tension. Now, you may be wondering, we've been talking about masks from the get-go. What does this have to do with wearing a mask? Well, consider this for yourself. When you're wearing a mask, they tend to be very tight and very constrictive, going tight on your nose, tight around the mouth. I even had someone go ahead and practice this for me, show what it was like for them to go into a stressful situation. They took an immediate deep breath in. You could see their mask actually being pulled into their mouth. How well do you think they were able to breathe in that moment? What kind of a response do you think the mind and the body actually had to having their airway being cut off? Now, when you're wearing a mask and you breathe through your nose, you don't end up with that same type of compression. You're able to take easier and deeper breaths. Now, here's the big part of that. Once again, when you breathe through your mouth, especially once again while wearing that mask, you're creating that adrenaline inside of your body. You're actually building up apprehension, anxiety, stress. You're fueling the fire. That's where some people, they're wearing the mask and they find themselves becoming more distraught. They're having difficulty being able to think straight. The anxiety just comes to such a high level that they just can't take it. And the sad thing is that we actually do it to ourselves. And not intentionally, once again. This is purely just an automatic response in our body to danger, preparing ourselves to once again be able to take action. Now, when we're breathing through our mouth, whether we found ourselves in danger before, we're definitely putting ourselves into it. Because when we create that same response in our body, when we create that adrenaline, we're going to be getting that same reaction, that same experience. So while you're wearing those masks, take the time to actually breathe through your nose, deep down into your stomach. You're going to be experiencing that automatic relaxation response. You're going to be opening up your veins, allowing for proper blood flow, oxygen flow. You're going to be allowing for proper blood and oxygen flow to your brain as well. That overwhelm, that fear that you were experiencing before can actually turn into calm, peace, and clarity. It can allow you to think about things on a way that's easier for you to be able to process, to even be able to consider new opportunities, new ways of doing things. Now, just like any tool that we have in our resources, if you don't use it, it's not going to do the job. So what I'd like for you to do is actually take a moment here and now to actually practice this with me, to try this out so that you get your own experience of it and you can find the value, so that the next time that you find yourself being in any kind of a situation wearing a mask, even without wearing that mask, that's a wonderful thing about this, is that you get to experience that relaxation and that clarity for yourself. So what I'd like you to do is to actually turn your head away from the screen for a moment, and I want you to think about something that stresses you out. If you want to go ahead and use the scenario of wearing a mask, that'd be terrific. You can imagine yourself wearing a mask and actually feel it restricting across your face, maybe not allowing you to breathe in deep, to take rich, fulfilling breaths as you feel yourself trying to breathe in deep, finding yourself being more and more compressed. As you're breathing that way now, I want you to notice, how do you feel? Where do you find yourself breathing? Are you nice and relaxed, or do you actually find yourself becoming more and more tense as you continue to think about this thing? All right, wonderful. I want you to go ahead and stop now. Wherever you're looking, I want you to go ahead, just think about a piece of toast. White, wheat, buckwheat, it doesn't matter. Just an ordinary piece of toast. Wonderful, terrific. What I want you to do now is to actually, once again, turn your head to the side. It makes no difference which direction for yourself. As you do so, I want you to go ahead and begin breathing through your nose deep down into your belly. Now, the way that I love to describe this, and the way that most people really enjoy this process, I want you to go ahead and imagine a ball or a balloon nestled basically right down there in your pelvis. And as you imagine that ball or that balloon expanding and contracting, you can even imagine what color it is. And the more that you imagine this ball, balloon, whatever it may be for you, you can actually even experience an internal massage, feeling your psoas muscles, your abdomen, all those muscles down there in your pelvis and your stomach, actually relaxing and feeling better with each and every breath that you take. I want you to imagine that you can actually breathe straight from your nose, straight down into that ball or balloon, not even coming down through your lungs at all, but just directly filling that ball or the balloon, whatever it is for you, feeling better and better with each and every breath. There's a wonderful process they call box breathing, where basically you breathe in for 3, you hold it for 3, you breathe out for 3, and you hold that exhalation for 3. And you just continue making that box. Breathing in this way, finding that with each and every breath, that you relax your body and your mind more and more. They actually teach Navy SEALs this exact same technique in order for them to be able to relax in the critical and highly dangerous situations that they find themselves in. If they're able to make use of it, if they employ these kind of techniques, how well do you think that it's actually going to help you in our more mundane types of life? So as you're continuing to breathe that way, breathing through your nose, deep down into your stomach, allowing your body to relax more and more, I want you to go ahead and remember that thing. Think about that thing that was stressing you out a moment ago. And as you think about that thing, as you start to remember, recall how that was, I want you to notice what happens to your breathing. Does it stay down in your belly, or does it actually try and make its way up, back up into your chest? The majority of people, when asked this question, they find that that breath is automatically trying to come right back up, if not shooting all the way back up. Don't worry about this. It's an automatic response. It's actually something that you can be grateful for. This occurs, once again, to make sure that you're safe, happy, and healthy. It protects you. It just turns out that it happens way more often than's necessary. And we'll get into that in a further program. So as you're continuing to breathe this way, I want you to go ahead and refocus your breath, breathing deep down into your belly, bringing your awareness back into that. If you need to, don't think about that thing that you were stressing out a moment ago, and just allow yourself to breathe properly, easily, and naturally. Now, as you find yourself breathing back down into your stomach, if you weren't already, I want you to go ahead and think about that thing that you were thinking about a moment ago. And each time that your breath tries to make its way back up, just ease it back down. Give yourself compassion. Once again, even be thankful that it's there for you, there to take care of you. Now, as you enable yourself to just breathe deeply, relaxing more and more, I want you to think about that thing that you were thinking about a moment ago. And notice how you can think about it now. Notice how things can change. How where possibly previously you only saw problems. Now you may be able to see options, even opportunities. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you a little extra something on top of here, a cherry on top that's going to make this an even better experience. As you're continuing to breathe that way, as you're finding yourself being able to relax more and more, I want you to make sure that your chin is lifted up slightly. I want you to raise your eyes up, making sure that they're above the horizontal line. If you can bring them up even a little bit higher at a 45, even better. Now, as you have your eyes up in that direction, I want you to expand your vision. And what I mean by expand your vision is to use your full peripheral vision. Allow yourself, while looking straight ahead, to see all the way off to this side, the opposite side, even up and down, just getting a full range of everything that's in your surroundings while looking with that peripheral vision, not bouncing your eyes around, but just holding a steady, even gaze. Now, as you do so, and as you continue to breathe those deep, natural breaths, once again, notice how you think and how you feel. Getting better and better with each and every breath. Now, as you're enjoying the way that you're able to actually experience your life in this very moment, I'll give you a choice. You can go ahead and you can bring your breathing back up into your chest if you want. Notice what happens at that time. You can go ahead. Take a few breaths up in there. Feel your shoulders lifting. I'm finding it even more difficult to breathe. And as you do, notice what happens with your state of thought. Now take another moment. Redirect your breathing. Breathe through your nose. Bring it deep down into your stomach. Allow your eyes to come up. Allow your vision to expand. And notice how things are now. As you continue to enjoy that, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to actually elate and explain about what happened with the vision, why I had you do that, and how you get to continue to benefit from that even now. Just like in fight or flight, when we start breathing into our chest to create that adrenaline, our vision also changes. It turns out that whenever we find something that's dangerous to us, our vision tends to become very narrow and focused, very laser-like. That's so that we're able to be focused on whatever possible danger there is. Once again, a very valuable tool. If you've got bushes rustling right there and you suspect that there's a lion in that bush, you don't want to be lollygagging all over the other place, right? You want to be crystal clear what is going on here. What do I have to do to make sure I'm safe? So when we find ourselves in that state of vision, it affects the rest of us as well. Once again, it increases our breathing. It increases the tension. It increases all the aspects of anxiety, stress. So when we actually go ahead and, what's the word for it? When we actually back mandate that, when we take ourselves, when we work that process in reverse, allowing ourselves to expand our vision, we actually wash our neural pathways with more information, which allows you to relax and feel good. Think about a time when you were enjoying yourself, when you were with a special someone, when you were with a group, when you were outside playing, laughing, whatever it may have been. When you think about yourself in those kinds of a situation, think about how you were looking. Was your vision tight, narrow, and focused? Or was it wide and expansive so you could take everything in for yourself? These are the kind of experiments that you can play with yourself to notice that the more that you find these situations that build up your understanding of how much you can affect how you feel, the more power, the more control that you will feel in your life. Now, I brought up at the beginning how recently they've enforced a law where even working out that you have to wear a mask, say in a gym. Now, there's many people that have actually found this to be uh, quite detrimental. They've been having a lot of difficulty with it, and rightly so, because once again, they've just been breathing in such a way where they've been increasing that adrenaline, where they've had a harder time because the body has just been demanding more energy. They've been finding that as they breathe this way, the way that I've shown them, everything becomes easier. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video how you not only can survive with a mask, but how you can actually thrive with it. Here's the sweet cherry on top of all of that. Well, as I mentioned before, whenever we find ourselves in a state of fight or flight, we're actually going through stress or anxiety. Well, it turns out that stress is actually thoughts of things that we have experienced in the past, especially the things that we beat up ourselves about. Why did I do that? What was I thinking? How could I possibly have done this? You know the kind of thoughts that I'm talking about. Anxiety is thinking about the future. Now, when we think about the future, we're making stories up the majority of the time, right? Think about how many things that you've been anxious about that never, ever happened. Once again, here in Hawaii, we have hurricanes. Even recently, we had one that just rode that rail right beside us. The whole island chain was on the edge of our seats. We felt that anxiety. We know the stories of the things that have happened here in the past on our beautiful islands, and we don't want to experience that again. There was definitely that apprehension, that anxiety that came along with it. And the stories that we were telling ourselves, the possibilities, were the majority of things that we were just making up or stressed out from in the past. So when you find yourself breathing high up into the chest, you actually find yourself either in the past or the future. You're not in this present moment. Well, it turns out that when you breathe through your nose deep down into your stomach, you bring yourself into the present moment. You are here now more than ever before. As you find yourself breathing deep down into your stomach, even allowing your vision to expand, taking all these words and thinking about these things, comparing them against the things that you've heard in the past, and even now having your own experience of this so that you can feel better and better. As you do all these things for yourself at this moment, are you thinking about the past? Are you thinking about the future? Or are you simply getting to enjoy now? You're going to notice that the more you do these things, the more clarity that you will have in your thoughts, your ways of thinking. You're going to discover that if you do this while you're talking with other people, having a good time, that you're actually going to find yourself being present in those moments. You're not making up stories. You're not making up what are you going to say next? Or why did they say that? You are actually going to be in that very moment, listening, sharing, talking. You're going to find that your communication abilities go through the roof. The people are going to appreciate you more than ever before because they know that you really listened. You paid attention. And you're going to find that even for yourself, when you find yourself in the same state of relaxation, of comfort, that you listen to yourself more as well. That you don't find yourself overwhelmed, overwrought by all the things that are going on in the world around you. That even while you're being inundated by all the news, the fear, everything else that's out there, that you're able to think with more clarity, more grace, more ease. How much better will your life be when you find yourself practicing this more and more? Now, once again, I want to make sure that you understand that the reason why we experience this, especially as much as we do these days, it's not something to be angry about. It's not something to be upset about, that this is a natural process that has been occurring your entire life in order to protect you, to keep you safe, healthy, and happy. And that now, having a deeper understanding of how your mind and how your body work, you get to back engineer it and use it for your own good. Neuroscience has found that the more that we do things, the more that we practice things, the more that we build up these connections in our mind and in our bodies. So you may be thinking, well, if this is something that I've been doing for years, if I've been breathing and reacting in this way, how am I supposed to change? Once again, the way you've been breathing is just a habit that you formed. It's a habit that you practiced. This gives you an opportunity to practice a habit that is beneficial and more healthy for you. All those alarms that have been going off throughout the past years, the fight or flight response that you've been experiencing, a lot of that comes from the media around us. When you think about social media, flipping through it over and over and over again, you're seeing all these pictures of all the things that you feel that you should have done, that you should have been able to accomplish, that you should be able to have. Whether it's an object, whether it's a body, whatever it may be for you, it's just a reminder of all the things that you should have, could have, would have been. Now, as we're experiencing that, as you go through that for yourself, you're actually finding yourself once again setting off that fight or flight response. You're finding yourself in real danger. Because if we consider ourselves not good enough, how much value do you think that you believe you have in society? And the people that find themselves without value in society, that actually think themselves to actually be ostracized, cut off from society in some shape or form, all of a sudden they feel like they aren't able to get the resources that the society actually provides for them. Food, water, shelter, all the basic necessities, the things that we need to survive. Well, when you find that you have a greater sense of self, when you have more belief in yourself, when you know the control, the ability that you have to be able to create a good life for yourself, a healthy life for yourself, how much does all of that enable you just to put the rest of it off to the side? To know that you can always look at your friends. You can see what other people that are successful and what you really want are doing. But you don't have to get caught up in all those stories. And that as you can let go of those stories, as you can let go of the stress, the anxiety, that as you practice those same tools while wearing a mask, that you discover that you don't need to breathe as much as you used to. That breath that you were taking in was actually fueling the fire of stress and anxiety. And then as a matter of fact, by breathing through your nose deep down into your stomach, especially if you're working out or even being in any kind of work where you just find yourself immersed in it, it actually puts you in the zone where you can simply be in that moment, experience it for what it is, even enjoy it. That even if you're working out, that by breathing in this way, you're actually going to be increasing your endurance. Even before all this came down, people intentionally were wearing masks to restrict their breathing to actually enhance their abilities. Think about yourself now as actually training yourself to become stronger, to become healthier, to not fill yourself up over and over again with that anxiety, with all that adrenaline. Because the more that you do that, the more that you allow yourself to go into that fight or flight mode, to experience that stress and anxiety, the more you actually break down your immune system, the weaker that you become. That the more you practice a healthy way of breathing, only taking in what you need, allowing your body to operate at its optimum, to actually get stronger, the happier you can become. The things that we consider problems in our life are simply the ideas and the emotions that we attach to them. Now you have a choice. You can consider that mask as being something that holds you down, that tears away your ability to be able to breathe, that restricts you, that holds you back from life. Or you can consider it as possibly being able to train yourself to become healthier and stronger. Now, along with that, I encourage you to find wide open spaces where you can take that mask off. Places where you can breathe, fill your lungs up, fill your body with all that healthy, rejuvenating oxygen. Always find an opportunity to do that for yourself. Do not just wrap yourself and keep yourself stuck in that mask all day long. Remember to breathe, and to breathe properly. Now, I genuinely hope that this has helped you. And I hope that you continue to practice this, because once again, the more that you practice this, the better you will feel. And the better you feel, the healthier that you will become. Don't allow yourself to get caught up in all of this. Allow yourself to create control and health in your own life. Now, if you've enjoyed this, I implore you, please share this. Share this with friends, families, businesses, organizations, whoever that you feel can benefit from this. And I assure you, I have seen on social media over and over again people talking about the anxiety, the stress that they're encountering, the difficulties that they're having while wearing a mask. I know that this can help countless others. If you really care about the people in your surroundings, please share this information. Once again, this is easily findable if you want to research this for yourself. And once again, I implore you to do that so that you can actually lock this knowledge in. Know that you have the tools that bring more health and happiness into yours and your loved ones' lives. Now, once again, my name is Ron Soderstrom of Ron Soderstrom Wellness and Performance Coaching. I live here on the beautiful island of Kauai in Hawaii. And I want to be able to share these messages to be able to spread health and wellness to all those around me. If this has been helpful to you, if you know of an organization or even yourself who needs some more help along these lines, needs to be able to learn more tools, knowledge to be able to address particular problems, situations that you're going through, always feel free to reach out to me at ronsoderstromcoaching.com. You can also go to my website at www.ronsoderstromcoaching.com to find all the different ways that I can assist you. So please, once again, remember these valuable tools. They're so easy, but once again, they only work when you use them. And the more that you use them, the easier that they become, the more natural they become, the more habitual they become, until you get to the point where you don't even have to think about it anymore. To the extent that where previously you may thought that you've been holding back. And even if you want, you can actually go against that mandate in your own way and discover that rather than holding you back, they're actually building you even stronger. And even if this is something that you really wanted for yourself, knowing that you're getting healthier each and every day. Every day is a new opportunity. It's all what you make of it. Aloha.